Well, hello, everybody. I hope you have brought your coffee and your donuts and whatever it is you want to enjoy during our chat today. I've got my coffee. Today I'm drinking, I think it's Snowy Mountain Holler Roast Coffee, whatever the coffee of the month was that Nicole from Living Free in Tennessee sent out this month. It's fabulous. Everything she sends is fabulous. So that is what I am enjoying this morning. I forgot to eat breakfast this morning, so I'm going just on coffee. So we'll see what happens. It is, let's see, it's Friday, April 22nd today. So it is Earth Day. And I actually had to look up when was the first Earth Day? Because many years back, I had a friend who said, you know what, Earth Day hasn't been around forever, and I'm not that much older than Earth Day. And I thought, really? Because, I thought it had been around for quite a while. But the first Earth Day was 1970. So let's see, I was born in 79. So yeah, I guess I'm not that much younger than Earth Day, I suppose. But yeah, so here we are chatting. It is very rainy this morning. It was a beautiful day yesterday. Beautiful and a beautiful night. Like one of those nights where you're just happy to be able to sit out on the front step and just enjoy the evening. It was pretty cool. I went out to put the wood in the wood stove because we're still running the wood stove because it still gets cold at night. And I do not want to use our backup heat. Our backup heat is fuel oil, and y'all know how expensive everything is right now. And we have lots of wood. So we're just continuing to burn that, even though it feels really weird to be putting wood in a wood stove, when it's 50 or 60 degrees outside. But we got to keep the heat going in the house. So anyway, I go out at night before I go to bed. Not before I go to bed, because the sun was just starting to go down, right? And I haul some wood over to the wood stove, and I realize the field to the east of where I am standing, which is just right there, is full of deer. You guys, like there's all these deer, and they're watching me. They're just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I decided they were out for this last frolic before we get this rain and thunderstorms and everything we're supposed to be having now for the next few days here. But so that was pretty cool, and we just kind of stood and watched each other, and then finally they were like, "We got to go," and then they all ran off. So that was fun. It's always fun when you look up and you see the turkeys, or you see the deer, or you see whatever it is that you see. So it's fun to do that. It always makes me happy. I live in the country and I see all the things, so that's fine and wonderful. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, so almost older than dirt, but not quite. Me too. Yeah, yeah. Older than dirt. I would love to be, I love dirt. Like I love to put my feet in the dirt. Love to walk around barefoot on the dirt. So I would be okay with, being as old as dirt or older than dirt. I don't know. Nate says, shoot them. You mean the deer? The deer are never around when it's season. I have said before that I believe that all the animals have their own calendar, and they know when it's time. Actually, what I think, here's my whole thought process on that. I feel, because animals are so smart, I feel like they can sense a change in the energy in like the woods or wherever you're sitting, because everybody wants to be so quiet and so like, we got to be quiet because we don't want to disturb the deer and we don't want them to know we're here. But I feel like they can just feel that there's something different. I almost feel like sometimes we are too quiet, because I have a stand out behind my house and I think of all the crazy noises that they hear on the farm all the time. So when there's that morning when it's like it's too quiet, like they know they're not dumb, right? Oh my gosh. All right. So, yeah, we're talking weather in the chat right now. It is supposed to be in the 70s here tomorrow. 70s. And then it's supposed to drop down to the 30s. What is with that? So, we are supposed to get thunderstorms the next couple days. And I actually like that. I love thunderstorms. Do you guys like storms? I would be a storm chaser. I absolutely love storms. And that is funny because, growing up, I did not like storms. When I was first married, I did not like storms. The whole concept that I was going to be in a house that I owned and a storm was gonna come through and I had to, like, protect the animals and I had to be the adult. Like, it was like, I don't wanna do this, especially because if there was really bad weather, my husband generally had to leave because, there was issues that had to be dealt with, so he would be gone. So I'd be all alone in the house with this horrible weather coming, and I'd just be like, "Ah," and I don't know what happened along the line, but at some point, I realized that storms are really cool, and I started to like to watch them. And I became that person who, when a storm is coming, you're standing outside, the tornado is coming and you're standing outside and people are going, come in the house, come in the house. So I like storms, and I remember as my kids were getting older, so we were already here at the farm, and I remember a really bad storm went through, and I'm watching, and my kids are like, "We're going to the basement. We have to be safe." And I'm like, "Yep, you stay down here." And I kept going upstairs so I could look out the window and see what was coming. And I had one of my boys was just absolutely petrified of storms when he was little, and so now we can go outside and we can watch the storms together. But yeah, yeah. Lots of weather talk, people saying that Homestead Journey is saying Mother Nature is drunk. Absolutely. I feel like this must be because I think it was in last week's live stream where I got out my farm journal and I was talking about how actually this isn't that weird. We think it's weird, but this is the time of year of, oh, now there's snow. Oh, now it's 70 degrees. Now we have ice, all that crazy back and forth. But I do feel like April, May, maybe March, April, May is a time when she just goes like on a bender or something. Maybe she just gets into this experimental mode in her life and she's like, I just want to do all the things that I want to do. And it messes with all of us. It's crazy. I can't wait for the weather to even out though, so we can start doing things here. It's where I am. I'm in that place where we're trying to get everything done that we can get done so we can be prepared for when the weather actually lets us do the things we want to do. But there's so much we can't do yet. So like yesterday, we've had a ton of wind over the winter. It was a very, very windy winter. And so we lost a lot of shingles off of our barn roof. And so I have been spending a lot of time with the 5-gallon bucket walking around and picking up those shingles now that the snow is gone for now. And we can see the shingles and the ground has thawed enough that you can actually pick the shingles up off the ground. They're not frozen to the ground anymore. So things like that, and just trying to clean up the yard. I did realize yesterday I can pull the tomato cages out of the garden because I didn't pull them out last year. So I finally can get them out of the ground so I can start cleaning that up. But yeah, I don't know if it's like this for where you live, if you're not up north like I am, but it feels like you're waiting. And then all of a sudden, here we go. Now it's time to do it. And you're already behind. So, and I try to prevent that every single year. And I just think Mother Nature thinks it's a funny joke. And she's like, no, this is the way we do it. Sit down and have a glass of wine with me, Amy. Don't worry about it. I think that's pure pressure from Ma Nature. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Some of you all. Robin says 95 degrees and no relief in sight throughout the weekend. Holy moly. 95. I remember last year, the very last weekend in May, we had a frost, and that's really late for a frost in Minnesota. I mean, that's, we don't normally get a frost that late. And the very next weekend, it was 101 degrees. 101 degrees doesn't normally happen in Minnesota, but to go from in the span of a week, we have frost on the ground. So we were out covering all the tomatoes because we'd already put them in the garden, of course. And to go from that to it is 101 degrees, that was insane. That was the biggest swing that I have ever seen Ma Nature take in the time that I've been paying attention to Ma Nature, but it's just crazy. No Name in Wisconsin says we are in that same spot in Wisconsin. Can't plant most things outside, but a flip of a light switch and we will be weeks behind in gardening. So I don't know if I should say that I'm glad that you said that because it sucks to deal with, but I'm glad that I'm not alone, basically. That is what it feels like. All of a sudden, can we plant? Can we plant? Can we plant? Nope. And then all of a sudden, we should have planted a week ago. Like, how does that happen? I don't understand. Anarchy says, good morning, Amy and friends from rural Sibley County, Minnesota. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, my friend. The Homestead Journey says, repair the roof and protect my barn. He says, I wish my barn, man, I love my barn. I love my barn so much. And yeah, I worry about her. And why do we say that barns are girls? Why do we say that ships are girls? Why do we say that, I was going to say trucks. Are trucks girls? Mine is a girl. Do you guys name your trucks? Wow. Now we are really going off on a squirrel thing. Okay. So I got to show you my shirt. It says ADHD, kind of written like the AC/DC logo, and it says highway to hell, look, no, highway, I can't even read it, you guys. Highway to hay, look, a squirrel. That is literally my brain most of the time. And if you've watched enough live streams, you know, there are squirrel things. But anyway, yeah, so I think about it. We really need to repair that roof. Roof. I was going Minnesotan there because I said roof. We really need to pay attention to that because she's 104. How many? 1918. That's when she was built. So 104 years old. And I do not know. Like, I don't get super attached to things, but man, if something ever happened to that barn, y'all, oh my word, there would be mourning. There would be serious mourning if something ever happens to that barn. So I really do need to concentrate on how to make her stronger and protect that roof. Yes. All right, we're talking about my hair. Yeah, so here's the thing about the hair. I dyed it and it was a very bright dark blue. And then, so when you dye your hair these crazy colors, the first few times you're washing it, the color is actually coming out. Like you're watching the color go down the drain. If you wash it in cold water, it will last longer, but it doesn't last forever. It's not a permanent color. And so, let me hide that comment. Eventually you get to the point where the color is not really going down the drain. It's just fading. So then you get to this cool pastel color that I have right now. But there are lots of people. So here's my tip. A lot of people want to get this pastel-y blue color. If you dye your hair this pastel-y blue color, it will not stay. You almost have to start with a really dark, bold, oh my gosh, color to get to this, to have this for a little while. So it is interesting because when I colored my hair, it you have to, like I said, you have to wash it with cold water. And I have found that I don't mind. Here's the weird thing. I don't mind washing my hair in cold water in the winter, which seems kind of backwards. But having to wash your hair in cold water is a two-step process, right? Because you take a regular shower, don't get your hair wet, and then wash your hair in cold water afterwards. So I am finding now that we are getting into that busier season and I'm going to the gym all the time. So obviously I'm showering all the time. I don't have the time now to do this two-step process of washing my hair. I'm kind of over it. So this is actually fading a little faster than it normally would, but that just means that I get to change it quicker, right? Yes, Martinson family says your shirt is like life. Yeah, I love this shirt. I think a lot of people identify with this shirt. Absolutely. Hidden Hill Farm Girl says my son has a bumper sticker that is just like your shirt. It is a good saying. I think I bought it because I was actually going to wear it to one of my son's concerts that they were doing because I thought like, wow, it looks like AC/DC, right? But it is my life. It is my life. Squirrel, right? Oh yeah. Susan. Hello, Susan. I haven't talked to you for a while. Happy Friday morning, Amy. Waiting to get things going here too, but as Minnesotans, we are used to that. Yeah, it's frustrating because like as a content creator, anybody who's going to do podcasts or YouTube or writing or anything like that, I feel like up north we're so behind, and so everybody's already talking about, oh, I've already got my chicks, I've already started my seeds, I'm already doing all the things, right? You get to that point where people are already harvesting stuff from their garden, and you're like, I haven't even started my garden yet. And so people who don't understand the differences between where you live and what you can grow and what you can do and that whole season thing, which you don't really pay attention to if you're not into gardening, you're not into farming, you don't understand the differences in what you can grow, what you can start when, all of that. I didn't understand that when I started. I was just like, we're just going to start all the things because that YouTuber or that blogger or that whatever said we can start it now. No, well, they live in Florida. They're living a very different life than I am. So it is just pouring outside, you guys. I love it. It's going to make a mess of the farm, but I love storms. I want some thunder. Y'all. That would be fun if we had thunder during the live stream and like lightning and a power outage. No, that wouldn't be cool. Actually, right before I went to start this today, my computer wanted to update. wanted to do a big ol' update, and I was like, we're not doing that today. That is not what we're doing." The Homestead Journey says, "Sometimes I feel so behind, I feel like a hashtag fake homesteader." Yes. Yep. Me too. Me too, and I feel like sometimes when you're north, like, it's such a short season, and you're just trying to pack everything into that short season, and it's it can be it can be frustrating when you're comparing it to other people, and maybe that's another downfall of the internet and social media and all of that, like, you understand what other people can do and everything they are doing right now, and you're just living vicariously through the people who already have things in the ground or already have their chicks half grown, or it is crazy. It's crazy. So, I had some fun yesterday. I my husband bought a drone, and so he was teaching me to use it, to fly it around the farm. It's just a little drone. And so he was teaching me how to, like, like, take pictures above the farm, and I shared some of those, in, I think, Discord and Telegram. So if you are in my Discord and my Telegram groups, you probably saw those pictures. Haven't shared them elsewhere yet. I suppose I could figure out how to share them on StreamYard, but that would require me digging into figuring out how to do that. Um, but it was really fun to do that and to be able to, like, be up above the farm and looking at, like, all the outbuildings we have, because seeing your farm from up above is so different than, where you're walking around all the time. But here's the funny thing I was going to tell you. As I'm learning to, like, fly this drone, right? Because it doesn't work right in my head. If the drone is facing away from me and I'm standing behind it and I've got the controllers, it makes sense because this way is this way and this way is this way. But as soon as that drone turns and goes somewhere, then you have to think in your head, wait a second, forward is actually this, and that's not how my brain works. So when I have to think about something really hard, I'm basically a little kid and I stick my tongue out. So the whole time I'm flying this drone and I don't realize I'm doing it, I'm like, like that, right? So if you're listening to the podcast version, I'm sticking my tongue out while I'm flying this drone, right? And my husband looks at me, he just starts laughing. I'm like, "What?" Because I think he's, like, gonna critique me about what I'm doing. He's like, "Is this hard for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really concentrating." And he says, "I know, because you're sticking your tongue out." Like, yeah, did any of you do that? Stick your tongue out when you gotta think really hard? It feels like a little kid thing. So maybe I didn't grow up, maybe. That's probably what it is. Yes. We got a question here. Loving chickens and gardens and butterflies. Do you use cold frames to start hardy vegetables? I don't. It's something I should do. We've talked about, like, cold frames and in a hoop house and all of that. It's on the list. It hasn't happened yet. I what's the book? The Self-Sufficient Backyard. I've talked about it here before by Ron and Joanna Melchior or something like that. That book, reading that and looking at all the things that they are doing when they live north. I mean, like, north, like, they make me look like I live south. And so it was really cool to see the things that they were doing, not only with tiny amounts of land, but just extending that season. And so I read those books. I'm like, oh, we're gonna do that. And then it falls into the list of all the things that I'm going to do. And every once in a while I pick one. Like this year we picked hydroponics, right? And we actually got it going, and it's beautiful, you guys. I don't know if you saw my picture on social media. That lettuce, it and I'm such a dork because I must go down in the basement 20 times a day to gaze at that lettuce. It's Gustav's salad lettuce from Baker Creek. It's absolutely gorgeous. There are no weeds. There are no, like, it's just beautiful heads of lettuce. And I just look at it and I'm like, "Oh, we did this and it's so beautiful and it's so photogenic." And I just want to look at it. I will probably eat some today because it's ready. And I have that thing where I'm like, I just want to look at it, but you have to eat it too. Like, just start another batch, right? So I'm excited. So if you look on social media, I'll probably post a big old goony post about my silly grin while I'm eating this wonderful, amazing lettuce that we have grown. The tomatoes are doing really, really well too. I like, I don't know, y'all. I know that my husband, when we started it, he had said we should consider turning like the whole corner of our basement into hydroponics, but let's wait to make sure it's going to work because our basement is a little bit chilly and it doesn't seem to be an issue. And it is so awesome to me that you get it set and then you basically just let it do its thing, and it's so easy once you get it set that, man, I don't know. Am I going to be out in the dirt garden this year going, y'all, you need to step up your game. You need to be more like the hydro garden in the house. There'd be a little competition going on there, but I'm excited. Everything just looks gorgeous and beautiful and it's wonderful. So if you haven't dug into hydroponics, you should definitely do that. I will write I've had some people say, did you buy your system? Did you build it? We built it. And I didn't do a post about really how we did that because I wanted to make sure that it worked and that we liked it before I really got into talking about it. So when we start a new round of seeds, I will do a post, which is basically this is how we built it. This is how we do the thing. So people can follow that if they want to, because I think that would be helpful. It's one of those things. Once you see someone do it and it works, you're like, we can do this. I followed Nate and Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead. I saw them posting all the time about their hydroponics, and I was like, I think maybe we can do this. Like we can check this out. And I did ask them lots of questions. So shout out to them for answering my questions when I had them. Let's see. We've got some more comments here. Naturalist Farmstead says, extended winter mud season here in Minnesota. We need the rain, but we're ready for the warm. Baby chicks aren't fans of the damp cold. Yeah, that is for sure. And isn't it funny how, if you're from Minnesota, last year we like had severe drought. The county that I'm in was severe drought for most of the summer. And so it's crazy to me how now I feel like there's no in between. Now we're going to have tons and tons of rain, which is great because we need it. But can we warm up a little bit? It's like, and it's that damp kind of, where it affects your mood and all of that. So I don't know. I like the thunderstorms. I like the rain. We need the rain, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, lots of people are saying that they do it too. Alyssa Kelly says, my hubs sticks his tongue out when he's focusing too. Yeah, well, I'm glad it's not just me. Emily says, I do it too. Well, now power in numbers, right? I love it. Mallory says, when vacuuming, still haven't figured out why. You stick your tongue out when you're vacuuming? Huh. Maybe I should pay attention. Maybe I do too. The only time I know I'm doing it is if someone laughs at me and says, "What are you concentrating really hard because you're sticking your tongue out?" Maybe I do it more than I realize I do if there's no one around. Homestead Journey says, when I concentrate, I chew my tongue. It used to drive my mom nuts, and she tried really hard to break me of it, but at 45, I still do it. Yeah, those habits, they're hard to break. You chew your tongue, I stick my tongue out. As long as we don't bite our tongue off, I suppose we're okay, right? Lovin' Chicken says, yes, I have seen the pictures. The lettuce looks amazing. Yeah. Oh man. I love it. I can't say enough about it. It's so much, it's so different than any lettuce that I've ever grown in the dirt garden. I've got the hydro and the dirt garden. Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Checking through the comments here. All right. So I told you about flying the drone and sticking my tongue out. That was fun. Yeah. What else? So next week there is no live stream. Next Friday there's no live stream because I am going to the LFTN spring workshop, Living Free in Tennessee. Some of you in the comments are also going to be there, so that is going to be fun. If you are going to be there and you want people to know, post that in the comments in the chat right now so we can see who all will be there. I'm super excited to go. I have not packed yet. Which is funny. I was having this discussion with some people the other day, other people who were leaving to go on a trip unrelated, and we were talking about the differences between how different people pack. Like some people are super organized and they've got it planned out. They know what they're going to pack. They have their lists, everything. Other people they throw stuff in a bag and they get in the car and they go. So I am the latter. I will probably pack on Monday. I'm leaving on Tuesday with a bunch of gals who are in this chat, and we're driving down there. But I'm going to look at the weather on Monday for Tennessee. I'm going to consider my options. I'm going to grab some stuff, grab some stuff out of the closet, throw it in a bag, put it in my car, leave Tuesday morning. That's how I pack, which is really funny because if you listened to yesterday's podcast on A Farmish Kind of Life, it was about personality. So you will know that if you listen to that I'm a very logical, very analytical. I like to know what's happening. I don't like people to surprise me and be like, oh, hey, we're going to do this thing if I don't know how that's going to affect my schedule. So that's generally how I am. But when it comes to leaving on a trip, I'm like, all right, I'll throw some stuff in a bag and we'll go. So I was thinking about that the other day. Like, how can those two things line up with each other? I don't know that they do. Maybe it's just maybe I have many personalities. There is that. Oh, now we're talking about packing. We've got people who are going, people who are saying have fun. Stacy says, I used to be that way, but with having to pack for 3 kids as well, it forced me to be more organized. That is a thing. I think stage of life, and if you have to pack for other people, or if you are responsible for other people, I think that definitely changes how you pack. I would say when I was younger and had little kids, I was probably way more, I need to know that we have all the things and that everything's great. Now I'm more to the point where it's like, if I forget something, I'll just buy it along the way, or I'll just decide I don't need it. So some of that is probably stage of life, and that I'm not traveling with little kids. And I figure if my kids are coming with, they can figure out their own stuff. And if you forget it, that's your problem. But I have adult children. So, yeah, oh man. What do we got here? More comments. People talking about the weather. I always forget that people can like join in on the live stream and they're seeing it a little bit differently, depending on when they join. And so sometimes we get the comments that are different than what I'm talking about. Like I had realized that. I'm like, wait a second, we're like 10 minutes past that. Oh, you're 10 minutes behind. Live streaming is crazy. I don't know. So, yeah, so I will eventually get packed and we'll go, and it'll be awesome. And I will miss you next Friday, but I will come back with so many stories to share and so many, probably just things I've figured out about life, because I'm one of those people who I go to something and then I process everything that happened, and I come out with all these deep thoughts about life and existence and all those things. So expect that next Friday. 2 Fridays from now. I mean, and as far as the podcast, I think for the podcast, I was going to try and get super far ahead and record extra podcasts. Now I think I'm actually just going to find some replays, because I have never done replays in the 200 and some episodes that I've done. I've never done a replay, and I think this might be the time to reach back into the files and pick out some replay episodes and just put those up for y'all. It's also nice because I find there are some people that will come to the podcast and they will binge listen and they'll get all this stuff. A lot of people don't because who has time for that? And so I think the benefit of reaching back into some of those older episodes that are pertinent to something that might be happening right now or whatever. Yeah, pull those old episodes out and give them a little new life and let people experience them again. Let's see. We got a question here from Lovin' Chickens. How do you assist those family members living a city life in understanding? I'm laughing because I know what you're going to say. In understanding that spring is a super busy time of year and that long family visits are hard to fit in and leave the homestead. That is a challenge. I have the benefit of most of the people in my life understand that, because they're either living a similar life or they just understand it, or everybody's busy with their own things. But that can be I was actually talking Nicole, I guess I was on a live stream with Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee yesterday, and we talked about there are people who are like, "You look so tired." They say that to Nicole. Nicole's in Tennessee. She's getting ready for a workshop. It is spring on the homestead. It is very, very busy where she is. And she said there's some people that just don't get that. They don't understand how busy it is on a homestead. And I don't know how you make people understand that, especially if they are super disconnected from that life. That is a challenge. Maybe that's something I should bring up on the podcast. Maybe I should research that and come up with some ideas and do a podcast episode about that. Does anybody who is currently watching, do you have any suggestions about that? How have you helped people who are not living this lifestyle to understand this is a super busy lifestyle? I would say spring is crazy and fall is crazy. I would say for us, fall is even crazier. But yeah, is there ever not a busy time on a homestead? I mean, there is winter for us because we don't overwinter a lot of animals, and obviously we don't have the garden or anything that. But yeah, man, spring. Here's the thing that I found that some people had trouble understanding. It's you're so tied to the weather. You know, you're so tied to the season, and I have to do this thing right now because if I don't do it today, in 3 days, these berries are gonna be overripe, or I won't be able to pick this thing because like, I have to deal with this thing right here. There have been, I know there have been family get-togethers that we have missed because it was the time we had to butcher chickens. That's just the way it worked out, and I think sometimes it takes missing a couple things to say, like, we have to get the chickens butchered because this is the day that we're all home and it's not raining, so this is the day we have to do it. I'm sorry, I can't come to your thing, but we really have to get this thing done. I think doing that a couple times, they're like, "Oh, it's actually a thing." They're not just saying that. But, every once in a while, you'll get comments, and, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. Let me grab some of these comments here. Stacy says, "They say if your friend is a writer, you should expect to show up in a book. Do your friends worry about ending up on a podcast or TikTok?" That's a good question. I don't know. Should I survey the crowd? I don't know. I don't know. Have I ever put people in a book? I have put people in a book. I don't think they know they're in a book, but I put people in a book. Have I put people in a podcast or TikTok? Um, Generally, if I'm gonna talk about someone specific or a specific situation, I will generally tell them, or I will make it so it's not obvious who it is. I mean, obviously, I never use names, but sometimes there have been situations where I'm like, I need to bring this up on the podcast because it will explain something, and so I tell people that. I don't know if I'd ever put anybody in a podcast without telling them, but definitely a book. Definitely a book. What do we got here? Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, "Come here in the spring and you're coming to work pretty much all summer to fall." Yeah. Yeah. If you want to visit me, you can come visit me, but I'm going to put you to work, or I'm going to be working while you're talking to me and I might be distracted. It's funny because a lot of people will ask this question, and it helps me realize that in the grand scheme of things, I'm surrounded by a lot of people who get this lifestyle, who are either living this lifestyle or at least understand it. So that's good perspective for me, I guess, which is probably why I don't have huge answers for it because I haven't dealt with it super often. Probably more in the beginning when people were trying to figure out how serious we were about what we were doing. But I would say now it's not really an issue just because we've been probably doing it so long that people are like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna be busy. Oh yeah." Karen says, "Invite them out for the afternoon." That is true. Yeah, if you don't understand my life and you wanna see it, come on over. Come on over. Nightcrawler says, "Have them come to the homestead to visit and put them to work. They will never bother you again." There you go. The Homestead Journey says, "If they come to visit, they get put to work, and if they want us to drop and go, you learn to say no." There you go. Lovin' Chicken says to Aaron at Two Chicks Homestead, that is a good rule of thumb. My family, unfortunately, don't enjoy getting dirty. We are complete outsiders. A new way of life for us too, but we are loving it. Isn't it interesting how when you step away from your family, um, there are things you have to deal with, and it's not necessarily the things that you think you might if you decide you're going to go a different way. There's like the things you're going to have to deal with because you're stepping into this new lifestyle, and then there's all those like little things that you're like, oh, this comes along with it too. And sometimes that is, wait a second, my family doesn't get me anymore, and maybe they never did. Maybe you've always kind of been the outsider, but yeah, oh man, that's tough. That's tough. And maybe it's just about becoming confident in the choices that you've made for your family and the things that you want to do, and just moving towards that, and knowing that you're going to get comments, you're going to get people who don't understand it, they don't get it, they don't like what you're doing, they think it's dumb, and you just nod and say, "Mhm. Duly noted." That's what I used to say when I would get comments online. Duly noted. Okay, like, whatever. I don't know what else to say to you. Yeah. Where am I in the comments here? Let's see. Naturalist Farmstead says, we've turned to just saying no thank you when we're that busy and then don't give an explanation. We found that when you try to explain versus a straight no, it leads to more hurt feelings. That's interesting that you bring that up, because I also talked about that with Nicole on our live stream yesterday, which is no is a complete sentence. No. And as humans, we want to know why people are saying no, but they are under no obligation to explain to us what their no is for. Like, no is a complete statement. And it's interesting because when we say yes to something, we don't ask people to explain why. We're like, oh, great, yes. But when they say no, when they refuse, when they're going to be like, no, I'm going to go do this thing, we always want an explanation. So that is a big thing. No, it's just no. And then change the subject. Nope. Or no, thank you, if you want to be nice. Yeah. Susan says, my parents make maple syrup and hubby and I help every weekend throughout the season. It is a time frame that definitely changes from year to year, so sometimes we miss out on things too. Yeah, and what's interesting about living that kind of lifestyle where, you're kind of connected to the seasons, is that that's something that a lot of people don't have anymore. They're not connected to the seasons anymore. They don't understand seasonal living and seasonal projects, and how however many years ago you want to go back, that was just how it was. And now there's so many things we can do anytime we want to, that it doesn't click with some people. And so if that's their normal, well, just do it another time. If that's their normal, it's probably completely out of, their understanding that, what do you mean you have to do that now? Can't you do it next week? No, I can't do it next week. So it's interesting. Let's see. Ashley says, I traded garden and animal sitting duties with a neighbor last year. They got our produce, we got theirs. It evened out. That's good. Always being able to barter and trade like that is excellent. Is excellent. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, my brother homesteads about 5 minutes away, so my parents at least have a few places to visit, and they know both are busy. So they can make the rounds and yeah, and see how busy you both are. So that's good. Trying to click on this comment. Nate says, my family, the standard answered, oh my gosh, I can't even read. More coffee. My family, the standard answer is, sorry, I'm out of vacation days, or I have vacation days slated for projects. Yeah. There's only so much time. Only so much time. The Philippine Nomad says, got that right. Filipino culture, especially here in the motherland, is all about pleasing everyone, and saying no is not the mentality nor in the vocabulary. It's interesting how the culture will, I mean, even just the family you grow up in, how no can be accepted or not accepted, or passive aggressively offered. It all depends. It all depends. The Homestead Journey says, it's awesome when you have great family memories. My in-laws came and visited for Easter weekend. Easiest chicken coop clean out ever. I did see you post about that. That's awesome when you can have people come and help. That's great to have the help. He goes on to say, my brother-in-law and son shoveled. My father-in-law drove the tractor, and I just stood around and looked good. That sounds like the greatest coop cleaning ever. I love it. I love it. Aaron says, it's neat how some people visit and want to try doing something that maybe you don't want to do this time. There is that as well. And it's good to remember that, I mean, there's some people that are like, I don't understand your life. Why are you so busy? And then other people, they want to try it. And maybe they like to do something that you don't like to do. Maybe that chore that you're like, oh, I have to go do this. They're like, oh, I want to do that. We used to have some neighbors who lived across the street from us, and their daughter wanted to get horses. And at the time we had horses. And so her dad was like, maybe you should have her come over and clean stalls, and like help you one day. I was like, yeah, she can come over. And that really was not my favorite job, but she was so excited to come over and do that because she was like, I'm helping and I'm doing the thing. So yeah, take advantage of that. If there's people who want to learn about the lifestyle, you can definitely get that going too. Let me see. Letty says it's all about the boundaries being set. Yes. Boundaries. Boundaries are everything. And we have to relearn about them all the time. All the time. Drink my coffee. What else? I am super excited to go to Living Free in Tennessee because the crazy thing is there's going to be a lot of people there that I feel like I've been working with for the last few years, in the sense that we have podcasted together, or we have written things together, or we have been in situations together in like a content creator kind of thing, even just discussing things about living this life or working in this manner. And so at the Living Free in Tennessee workshop, I actually get to be in person with these people, which I was thinking about how cool that is. And I was thinking also about how strange that is, because 50 years ago, if you worked with someone, you worked with them in person, right? You may have like had lunch with them, you've sat down with them, you've talked to them face to face in person, not through a screen. And so how crazy is it that I have had these relationships with these people for so long and we've never actually met? So I'm excited to actually meet people. I'm also really excited to be in a group of people who we have similar goals, we're living similar lifestyles. And sometimes I think, as an introvert, as someone who's working online, as someone who's alone-ish, you can spend a lot of time in your head, especially when you're thinking, I'm living this lifestyle, I'm doing the things, and you're just focusing on, here's the next thing, here's the next thing. You spend so much time in your head. What's the next project? What's the next thing that I'm going to do on my homestead? What's the next skill I'm going to learn? And you spend so much time in your head. And I think the really cool thing about going to LFTN is you'll be able to be with people who are all doing that. And I think there's something helpful about that. I think it's going to be inspiring. I think it's going to be centering. I feel like it's weird because we haven't really even started our farm season here where I live. And yet I almost feel a little bit burned out already. And burned out probably isn't the right word, but I feel more like ADHD, right? Like, all the things. What am I going to do? And so I feel like there's going to be something about being with a bunch of people that's going to give me direction and going to re-inspire me for the things that I want to do. Does that make sense? Yeah, because even though I'm Amy from A Farmer's Kind of Life, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? What am I even doing here? I don't even know. So I think there will be direction. I think I'm going to come back from Living Free in Tennessee, the spring workshop, with direction and inspiration and a new community that I know better, because I've met them in person, and I'm excited for all those connections. And so I'm really looking forward to this trip. It's going to be fabulous. I'm sure I'm going to take 50,000 million pictures and probably some videos. And my note app on my phone, or I probably will just write it on paper, will be full of all the ideas. I'll probably come back going, all the things, hopefully a little less ADHD and a little bit more inspired. That was not the one I was going to. That doesn't make sense. Ashley says it's going to be like meeting up with a pen pal. And then Letty said, exactly, Ashley. Farmhop Life says, meet all the people. If you listen to my podcast on Tuesday, episode 204, I believe it was, Farmhop Life was my content creator shout out. So if you remember me shouting them out, that is them. So go follow them. Hoping to have them on the show soon after I get done with all this crazy traveling. Aaron says, so crazy this year will be with people I know already, or at least talk to a lot, when last year I knew no one. Aaron, you are such a badass that you went to that workshop last year not knowing anyone. You went all by yourself, didn't know anyone. You're just like, I'm going to do this thing. That is so badass. You're inspiring. You're inspiring. I don't know if I could do that. Just walk in someplace where I don't know anybody, like had no connection. Just be like, hey, I want to learn some more stuff about homesteading. Here I am. You're awesome, Aaron. Letty says, going to be some shy and awkward figuring out who everyone is, etc. Then it will be like getting together with old friends. It is interesting when you know people mostly online, that when you meet them in person, you're like, wait a second, what's your screen name? There's like that weird time you're like, oh, you are you. You're the person. Okay, I've made the connection now. Yes. Aaron says it lit the fire for the rest of the year. Sure. I'm excited about that. That's a good way to describe it, to light the fire. And I feel like maybe for me it's because let's get into a little psychology here. So this is our 11th year at the farm, and my kids are now adults. And I feel like I watch people talking about all the cool, like people who are getting into homesteading, they're talking about all the cool things they're doing, and they're so on fire, and they're so just excited about everything and learning all the things. I've been here for 11 years. I've been doing this for a while. And I feel like that, coupled with the fact that my kids are grown now, it's like, what am I doing? What's the next step? And so for Aaron to say it lit the fire for the rest of the year, I feel like that's what I need. Like I need to go, okay, here's the fire. Here's what you're going to do. Here's the direction you're going to go. Here's some excitement. I feel like that's what I need right now. So yes. Nate says, looking forward to meeting with doers instead of dealing with a group of talkers I deal with on a daily basis. Yes. Talkers make me nuts, which is funny because I've been talking to you for almost an hour now, and then I'll have to go be quiet for probably 3 hours. But yeah, doers, being with people who are actually doing something with their life and with their time and reaching out to figure out what's the next thing. I don't want to just sit on the couch. I don't want to just have things taken care of for me. I want to do the things. I want to figure this out. It's a great bunch of people to be with. So it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Aaron says it was amazing and scary. Yeah. Melissa says, yep, Aaron is badass for sure. Melissa, I totally just realized who you were. Totally just realized, because here you have a hyphenated name. Totally just realized who you were. Oh my word. There you go. Nate says, oh, she was going whether she liked it or not. I threatened to buy Erin's ticket if she didn't buy it herself. I'm glad she went. I'm glad that she went of her own volition and she didn't have to get pushed out the door. It sounds like it was just an amazing, amazing experience. Letty says, especially when they don't have their face as their icon on the different socials. Yeah, and I have people who like are in my MeWe groups and different things who it's the name of their farm. So I have no idea who they actually are, and they've told me, "I'm gonna see you at LFTN." I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna have to introduce yourself as your page name because I literally have no idea what your name is or what you look like." It's just a big adventure. The Homestead Journey says, "I've not yet been to some kind of homesteading jamboree, but I want to." Yeah. I also have not been to a homesteading jamboree, I don't think. Thinking back, most of the ones I went to were homeschooling ones. The reason, that I'm going to this one is Nicole kicked me in the ass and said, "You're going to speak. You are coming to LFTN and you're going to speak." And I said, "Okay." And that's how, I got to go to this. So I it's kinda like Nate saying he was gonna buy the ticket for Erin and push her out the door if she didn't buy her own. Nicole said, "You're coming to speak, and that's how you're going to get here." Okay. Melissa says, "Putting the MeWe and FB picture with the person." I'm chicken boots. Yes. Yes, you are. Isn't oh, man, it's so crazy because there are people who will come into, like, YouTube on these chats, and they'll be chatting with me, and I realize, "Wait a second, I just realized who you were because it's your farm name, and now I realize you're this person on MeWe and this person on Float," and yeah, all that. So Ashley says it's going to be really interesting to hear all the different phases, sizes, setups, and levels of homesteading. Yes. Yes, it will. And I'm excited. I think sometimes the people who have been doing it longer term, sometimes get inspired by the people who are just starting and just jumping into it. And so I put that out there to you who are newer at it when you're with those people who have been doing it forever and you're thinking, "Oh, I don't know anything. I just feel like a wannabe. I feel like a fake homesteader because I haven't been doing it as long." I want you to know, like, you are just as important to the homesteading community because for people like me who are going through like an existential crisis or like, I don't know what it is, being 43 or whatever it is, having your kids like, "Woo, okay." Um, it it's so important to hear from the people who are new at it, who have the zest and who have all the excitement and that wondering that they're looking into the future and going, "These are all the things that I want to do." Because me, as someone who's like, "Okay, I've done that, I've tried that already." Sometimes you can get a little, I don't want to say jaded, but you just like you need that inspiration and that kick in the ass again to be like, "Okay, come on. Let's get on this and let's figure out what's going on." So, what else? Karen says, "I'm jealous, y'all. These things are basically on either coast, not in the middle where I am." Karen, where are you? Because I know that there are various people talking about trying to put something together in the Midwest. I've talked with several different people about different things. um, it would be so I agree with you. I agree with you. It seems like everything is, there's nothing in the middle, which is so interesting because there's so much happening in the middle with homesteading and farming and self-reliance. It's just there hasn't been something put together yet. And it makes me wonder, why is that? It's not that I think we're any busier. It's not that I think like why hasn't someone put this together yet? So we will get on that. I will tell you, Ms. Karen, we will get on that. Yeah. Um The Homestead Journey says, "Yes, the enthusiasm of new people is infectious. So we share our wisdom, like don't start with 25 goats." And they share their excitement. Yeah, both things are very, very important. Very, very important. Because if all we're doing is sharing our wisdom, it's kind of like I, there's there's not necessarily the excitement in the wisdom. Do you know what I'm saying? And I hope I'm not coming off like I'm totally don't want to do this anymore, because that's not it. It's just that's not it. I I don't know. Moving on. All right. Adele says, "Can someone tell me what guinea pigs are used for?" Guinea pigs? You have a winky face there. Did I miss something? Guinea pigs? Do you have guinea pigs? Are you wondering what you can use them for? We used to have a guinea pig for many years. That was one of my children's pets when we used to have like pets in the house. Now we have dogs in the house, but we've had all sorts of animals in our in our uh in our life. Nate says Farmish workshop. We shall see. We shall see. I would love to host something. I would absolutely do that. I just don't know that I want it at my farm for various reasons. But I could also be convinced otherwise. Probably. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Melissa says Nicole Williams is good at kicking your ass to do or start something. I have 18 seasoning blends in 3 years because Nicole asked me if I was going to sell some at a GSD. Kind of like how you kicked my ass to get on building my website, even if it isn't complete yet. Yeah, so Melissa has the most amazing spices for your food. You have like a coconut curry one. Mm, that was so good. You have like Dark Horse 25, I think. Oh my gosh. Your spices are so amazing. And so I cannot wait until you get your website done because I'm going to have you on the podcast and we're going to get people to learn about your spices and it's going to be great. You make amazing things and they smell good and it's wonderful. So we all need to kick each other in the ass. So maybe that's what I'm going to LFTN for is because I need to be kicked in the ass. So if you are going to LFTN and you see me, go ahead and kick me in the ass and be like, Amy, come on now. Come on now. You got a whole thing you're doing here. Figure out what you're doing and keep going. Murray McMurray Hadrick. Hey, friends. We are down to help the Midwest. Yes. Hello today. Good times. I need to order my Cornish cross. Here's the thing. We're doing a lot of traveling this year. Obviously, we have LFTN, and then I have another thing that I'm doing the end of May. I'm going to be gone for, I don't know how long, a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. I don't know yet. And so it's that math thing. It's that whole math thing of you have to figure out buying the chicks and then butcher time, right? So right now I'm trying to figure out, wait a second, when do I get the Cornish cross? So we're actually going to be home to butcher this year. It's exciting. It's exciting. Oh boy, Naturalist Farmstead Midwest event would be awesome. We'd love to help work on that with localish people. We're doing some smaller events this summer, but big shindigs make us a little nervous. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into planning the event. Like there's the idea of the event and then there's the actual execution of the event. And so it's always something that's back here because I think it's something that's needed. LFTN, Living Free in Tennessee, that community is so amazing. And it's not just Tennessee. Like you don't have to be from Tennessee to go to that. But having said that, in Tennessee, surrounding that whole thing, there's such an amazing community that has been built. They are just like tight like this, and they are so helpful. It's a great group of people, right? We need that here in the Midwest. We need to start that. And it's always in the back of my mind because I think it's super, super important. It's just figuring out the details and figuring out who all wants to be involved in that and the details of that. So maybe when I get back from LFTN, I will do something a little bit more intentional about putting together a list of people that want to help with that and get that going because it is important. It's a big thing. Maybe we're already working through what my new direction is, y'all, before we even get to LFTN. Maybe this is my focus. I don't know. That's why I love these live streams. We have such great chats and then we figure out all the world's problems here on the Farmer's Kind of Life live stream. The Homestead Journey wants to point out that some people eat guinea pigs. I think they are a delicacy in Peru. I mean, you can eat anything, can't you? Technically. I don't know. Yeah. The Homestead Journey says, what is Melissa's website so I can buy some spices? Melissa, can you put the name of your business? I don't know if you will be able to put a link, but if you put the name of your business, you could do that. And then when we get that website up and running, we'll make sure that we talk about that. I will put it so I can put it in the chat. but for now, we'll just pop your name out there. It's Honeybee. I can't, because I know it's got a few words in it and I don't want to get it wrong. So Melissa, if you're still on, pop it in there. Lovin' Chicken says, just wanted to say I've been following you for a while and recently subscribed to your snail mail monthly newsletter, but this is my first time joining your live chat and think I can learn from all. Yeah. The live chats are fun. It's funny because I was pretty anti live stream at the beginning of the year. I was like, why would I want to do that? And now I look forward to it every single week because we have it's just a different way to connect, and it's real time, and it's there's good connections that come out of these conversations that we have here. So Emily says, some years are harder to get excited about than others. This is one of those years for me too. On the homestead, you mean? This year, I don't know. It's probably because there's lots of other stuff going on, because it's not just the homestead, it's all the other stuff that's going on in your life. And so that all comes together in this big, and so, yeah, this is one of those years that I'm like, what the heck? What in the world? I feel like I'm 17 again, trying to figure out, what am I doing? What am I doing? If you follow me on social media on my personal account, Amy Dingman, my personal account, you'll see sometimes I post some poetry and I post some memes, and Amy starts posting stuff and people are like, oh, she's going through another life crisis where she's trying to figure out what her direction is and what is her purpose. Do you think everybody thinks about that? Do you think everybody wonders, what is my purpose? What's my next thing? Who are the people I'm supposed to help next? What are the pieces of myself that I'm supposed to, because we all have pieces of ourselves, right? We are made up of many different things, and they don't necessarily all line up together, but they're all parts of us, right? And you have to figure out, okay, what pieces of me am I going to push out into the world and use that to help people or to do something, to change something? Do you think everybody thinks about that? Or do you think it's just certain crazy people like Amy? And probably, I'm guessing, because I think there's a lot of similarities probably with the people who are in the chat here, the people in this community. Do you think it's kind of this community thing? You think there are people that are just floating through life like, whatever, I don't care? Okay, I know there's people that are doing that, but these are the things I think about. Yes. Let's see. Karen says, I want layers, but have unlevel ground with lots of hawks and owls. I won't free range, need a tractor for unlevel ground that is predator proof. So who has a suggestion for Karen? Because that's a thing. We don't free range here either. We have tons of hawks and owls and fox and various other things. But the predators from the sky are actually our worst predator here when we were free ranging. Chicken tractors are great, but yeah, if you don't have flat ground, like I live where there's like no elevation change at all. It is so flat as a board. And so that's never an issue for us when we had chicken tractors. But so we'll have to look for a suggestion for you, because that would be great, because we want people to have all the chickens. Mike says, hello, Mike. A Midwest event sounds awesome. I do still hope to make the trip for LFTN or another event next year just to meet some folks and for the fun of the trip. Yeah. It would be awesome to see you at LFTN. There's another one, Self-Reliance Festival, that is coming up in June, which is close to where Nicole's is. If anybody, what is the website? Is it Self-Reliance Festival? But that's another one. They asked me to come to that. I'm not going to be able to go to the one in June because I'm going to be just getting back from another trip. But there is one in October, which I'm thinking I might go to. So that one's in Tennessee as well. Camden, Tennessee, I think. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. So that would be fun. It would be fun. But a Midwest one would be great. Holy moly, I just got a ton of comments all at once. All right. We're at an hour, but I'm going to go through these comments and then we will wrap things up. We can go a little longer, right? Because we're not live streaming next week, right? The Homestead Journey says, it's not just the Midwest that feels left out. Those of us in the Northeast do as well. So we're working on something to fix that too. Excellent. You have Homesteaders of America by you though, right? Is that in Virginia? I know that's out there. And that's always like, the weekend we used to butcher our pigs, that is always the weekend that Homesteaders of America is. Now we've pushed that out further, so it's not as much of an issue to go in October. But yeah, I love that there are all these little things that are starting to spring up because people are they're realizing that it's important to have that connection with in-person connection with like-minded folks, and not just do all our talking on the internet. There's something great about being in person. Alyssa says it'll be a few years yet, but Hubs and I are working on plans to start a rustic event venue, which could be a great Midwest get-together spot. Ooh, that sounds exciting and super awesome. You will have to keep us updated on that. All right. Letty says Melissa's website, Honeybee Mercantile. I see she's down. And then Melissa says it's Honeybee's Kitchen and Mercantile. So that is the website that we were talking about. So I'm really excited for you to get that all buttoned up and live, Melissa. It is a lot of work to build a website, especially if you're not a techie person, because I'm not. I have someone who does my website for me. I'm like, fix this, do this. I will pay you for that because I have reached that point in my life that I can do that. And that's just not something that I want to deal with. So I pass that off to someone who's awesome and who can do it. But building it by yourself, I give you props. I give you props because that is tough work. Holy moly, more comments. Now I'm going to sing you a song. Some people are leaving because they got to go, which is fine because it's 9 o'clock. So have an awesome day. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Ashley says, I 100% think people are always trying to figure out their purpose. Yeah, that's where I am right now. So that's going to make living free in Tennessee spring workshop real interesting. So it's going to be good. Let's see. Love and Chicken says, for the layer question, do you need a tractor or can you do a coop and a large covered run? That is what we had to do as well. We had some uneven ground. So that's a question there. All of our chickens and our ducks now, any birds that we have, they are in really large runs and they are all netted. So there's like a poultry netting that you can buy and works really, really well. It's awesome. And that's worked great for us. That's where we have our birds all the time now. Because like I said before, the predators from the sky have always been our biggest issue here at the farm, which is weird because that's not ever the predators that I assumed we deal with. I thought it would be fox and all that. And we did have that. But it was definitely birds from the sky coming down and taking all the things was what we dealt with. Nate is asking how many chickens. So that must be to Karen, I believe. McMurray Hatchery says it's more work, but easier to move. Lots of small tractors that hold 10-ish birds. They'd be small. That's a really good suggestion because when we had chicken tractors, we had them. I mean, it wasn't for a ton of birds, but they were heavy. So it was work to move them. So I almost feel like if we would have had small tractors that we could have moved all over and were super easy, I think that would have been better. I just remember it was a lot of work to move the one that we had because it was really heavy and yeah, kind of a pain in the butt, but I was glad we had it. Lovin' Chickens also says you can also do some supervised free range for an hour or so a day. You can do that. When we free ranged, we just opened the door in the morning and then they went back at night. And that's what we did until everything got out of control. And we had like feral chicken gangs all over the farm. And I had no idea how many chickens we even had. And then there was much death and destruction when we had a bunch of stray dogs come through. And then that and various other things we were dealing with besides the millions of hawks from the sky. Yeah, we decided we weren't going to free range anymore. Karen says, I want a mobile coop to go behind the Jersey. 10 layers would be a lot. Thanks, guys. Well, there you go. She got her answers. All right. Mike says, October might work. Well, there you go. I'll have to keep you informed if I'm going to end up going there. And the last question, I believe, or last comment we have here, at least that YouTube is showing me right now, or Facebook, is yes, Self-Reliance Festival in Camden, Tennessee at Special Operations Equipment. So there you go. That is another one that is coming up. So there you go. I guess we we will sign off for today. So let's see. What can I tell you? I am going to try and find some replays for next week and probably the beginning of the week after, because I will get home from living free in Tennessee on Monday, May 2nd, and I'm supposed to have a podcast coming out the next day. And y'all know when I get home from being gone a week, I'm not going to sit down and record a podcast right then. That would be silly. That would just be silly. So I will find some replays and get those up for you, so you got something to listen to. I will also let you know that Fireside Freedom next Tuesday, some of the guys are going to be sitting around chatting about keeping it positive in the middle of negativity. So that will be a good chat. So catch that if you are around. And what else? I guess in 2 weeks on May 6th, we will be back here for another live chat. And I'll probably have so much to tell you. It'll be amazing. Maybe I'll have figured out my purpose. Maybe I'll have figured out all the things that I'm going to do until the next time I have another existential crisis and have to question my purpose and my plan. So there we go. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And if I don't see you at Living Free in Tennessee this coming weekend, I will see you in 2 weeks. Have an awesome, awesome week.